What's up, everybody? My name's Chris Marshall with my boy, Frank G. We are the hosts of Build Your Empire podcast. Frank G, tell the people what we do.
What's going on, everybody? Chris and I, we discussed established empires while showcasing us building ours.
And Frank G, as we are on our quest to build our brand, our businesses, our podcast, and our own empires, there's nothing more fascinating than coming in contact with individuals that are like-minded like us. So today we do have our second guest of the show, Jared Brown. Welcome. Thank you. How are you?
I'm good, Chris. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. It's been a long time coming.
It has. We were just off air, and I was saying how me and you essentially met. It was my first job, rather, a sales job, and it was just me and you in the training class. And I thought I was rocking the training. I'm fresh out of college. I'm thinking I'm going to crush this sales job. I'm like, this kid who is with me kind of sucks. I'm like, he is awful. He's terrible. And as soon as we went live and started selling actual product, you excelled so quickly. You advanced through the corporate ladder, and now you are operating your own company, a true entrepreneur. It was an amazing thing to watch, and certainly made me not judge another person after.
That's certainly a nice introduction. I do appreciate that. I'm excited to get on with you guys, and that was a long time ago. It felt like yesterday.
I was going to say, what a introductory speech. That was really heartfelt.
Yeah, it's something I when I mentor people or when I'm in other jobs and I'm talking stories about my work history, I always bring this specific scenario up. So Jared, I don't talk behind your back.
No, I appreciate it, man. And it's funny because it's been 5-6 years, I think, since we were actually in that training room together. And we haven't, spoken in person or over the phone many times, but it literally feels like yesterday. So I'm excited to get on with you guys.
I was almost in that training room with you guys. Had an interview for that job as well.
You ended up in a good spot, Frank. So
that is crazy. My internet went in and out there. But Jared, tell us a little bit about your origin, the company you're running now, what you're doing, and just give us some insight here.
So I'm located in Manhattan. I own a company called Victory Home Remodeling. We do residential home remodeling, roofing, siding, windows, anything really on the outside of a house. It's more of although we do sell those products and we really care about the work, it's more of a human development kind of company, where we really want to make sure that the employees are more of a family, and then good work comes out of that. So that's kind of where we are now. We're located in New Jersey, so we service the entire state of New Jersey. And we're fairly new. We're a small business, 7-8 months in, and on a little hold right now, but very, very, very much excited to get back and shift with the industry.
So 8 months in, we're currently 2.5 months of quarantined. I don't know how much revenue you were bringing in, but as a startup business venture, you have to be.
I just lost you for a second, Chris. I'm sorry. If you don't mind repeating that.
We might have lost him for a second. I don't know if you're there.
I am back.
I hear you.
Back. Yeah, tech issues, terrible. Frank G, if I go in and out, you got this. But Jared, I have to ask. We're in a pandemic here. We're quarantined 2.5 months in. I mean, you have to be so frustrated to be a new venture coming right out the gate.
At first, I thought about being frustrated, and then as cliche as it sounds, it's really not going to get you anywhere, and that's really the mentality that you have to have. So I'm actually going the opposite way with it, and we're innovating every single day. We're keeping in touch. Unfortunately, we did have to furlough the majority of our employees, but we've retained everybody, and it's more of the Victory family is staying intact, and we're all just so excited to be able to get out and be able to actually see each other in person, hopefully sooner than later. But we're grateful for the opportunity. a place to sleep and a place to innovate.
Well, you said your main focus is culture here. So I'm a big believer that you need culture to boost morale within the corporate structure to actually get the work done.
Yeah, definitely. That's something that me and my partners, we have a motto that we say, I don't even know who said this, but our employers don't work for us, we work for the employers. And I do wake up and
That's Gary V, my man.
that is Gary V. Yep. And it had to be some genius, right? So I say that every morning and we live by that. And that's really the truth. If you have happy people working with you, then the business will thrive by itself. I'm convinced.
That's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome mentality, man. I'm curious. So 7 to 8 months in, how many employees do you have currently?
So we're a group of 24 employees right now. There's 4 partners, and we have a few different departments, sales, marketing, and we kind of all work together just to make sure that we get to the common goal, and that's making a happy homeowner.
Now that is incredible that you have 4 partners. So, fortunately, me and Frank G over here, we're best friends, and we almost have the same exact mind. It actually freaks us out sometimes. So working with him is simple, but to work with 4 other individuals on a business that you're trying to scale with millions of dollars coming in your doors, how's that like?
It's really fun. I work with my best friends, and they're some big dudes. I'm the smallest guy in the pack, but there's some
Got to start somewhere.
Exactly. It's forced me to work out more, but there's some struggles. Obviously, some struggles. There's plenty of struggles that we go through, but we always find a way to get through it together. And that's what it really is about, just balancing day to day with whoever you're working with. Because if you're really not on the same page with your partners or your coworkers, it's just like you said, the morale in the company is just not there. So we just want to bring good vibes and make sure everyone's happy. That's the thing. Like I speak to employees, and I just want to make sure that they're happy. And if they're happy, then we're doing something right, and we'll continue to do stuff right.
Compassionate CEO kind of mentality right there.
That's the only way you're going to thrive and succeed.
Yeah. That truly shows character, though. So you were learning the ins and outs. I mean, because the business you're in, you once worked in that field.
Yeah, I've been in the construction, consumer industry for the past 4 or 5 years. I've always been, into in the back of my mind, I always knew I wanted to do something.
Well, you've always been an entrepreneur. I mean, you were trying to get me to sell lighters for you at one point.
Yeah,
I remember that story.
Yes. I had a company called EcoFlame Lighters. I got into, entrepreneurship when I was 21, right out of college, or the thought that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. And I was researching a lot of things, and Alibaba, back in the day, not many people really knew about it. And
no, which is incredible that you were on top of the trend.
Yeah, I was enamored by that. And I just don't care what anyone else really thinks. So like failure is not like a big deal. So, I've failed a ton of times so far. And
we created like 4 podcasts.
Yeah. So I did the lighter company, and that went well, and I learned a lot through that. And even that company, I had a falling out with a partner. He's still one of my best friends till this day. We didn't talk for a while, but it taught me so much.
It just happens.
It taught me so much. So everything happens for a reason. I'm convinced as well.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome that you got into entrepreneurship at such a young age. I mean, so you learn the in and outs of this kind of business, construction, home remodeling. You become a top salesman, and now you start your own business. I mean, that's truly incredible.
Which Frank G, sorry to cut you off, that you literally were probably about to ask the question I'm going to ask is, Jared, if you were the top salesman and you're such a good salesman and now you're the CEO, are you out in the trenches selling yourself your own product, or are you just in your chair kicking back?
No, of course not. So yeah, of course I am selling my own product. I went through 4 or 5 years of learning and working, and then once I started up my own company, it was right back to day one, going door to door, pounding the pavement, and getting back to like what actually got me to where I am today, and then building off that, going into homes, expressing the products that we have for homeowners, selling the product, putting on a great customer experience in terms of the actual install, like actually doing a roof for a homeowner, doing their siding or windows. And then we grew from there. We had some guys who were noticing what was going on and who wanted to be a part of it. So yeah, door to door, baby. I'm convinced everybody should have a door to door job at some point.
People laugh at me when I tell them I went door to door, and I was going door to door on Saturdays with like 2 feet of snow on the ground. By far my worst sales experience. And now I prefer to use the phone and use my voice and sit while eating snacks.
There you go. You got it. You figured it out.
You got to have one first, though, get the other, right? I mean, I'm sure that door to door builds a ton of character. I mean, if you're not walking through the snow or in the rain, I'm sure it's not easy.
Yeah, just dealing with all the rejection and the door slammed in your face and the no's. It might suck, during the time you're doing it, but looking back, it was something I wouldn't trade for anything. It gave me some really good knowledge of like what happens in the real world. Like you're never gonna get a yes all the time.
Mm-hmm.
People are always gonna love you. They're always gonna like you.
And if you can knock on a door and pitch someone and manage to convert them, it's so satisfying. And if you can deal with that rejection, you can do any sales job imaginable.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, as salesmen, I mean, we've all held sales jobs, or we all are salesmen. We certainly know that there's going to be no's, people turning you down. I'm assuming as CEO that just gets harder, or it just gets more prominent than dealing with, roadblocks and people saying no. I mean, you're dealing with the staff now. You
have to deal with a manufacturer.
Yeah, there's a lot of day-to-day, I guess, craziness, no's, yeses, maybes, and you just have to deal with everything on a day-to-day basis, and have your goal set out, that you want to be wherever you want to be down the road in the future, but not look too far down the road, and deal with everything day by day.
Now, Jared, Frank G is a manager of Ferragamo. He pretty much runs and operates a store where in New Jersey, Frank?
Secaucus, New Jersey.
Secaucus, New Jersey. So Frank G is used to hiring and I guess firing. I don't think he fired anyone, but I'm sure you're in that situation as well, considering it's your business. What do you look for when you're looking for candidates?
That's a great question. So fortunately, I haven't had to fire anybody or, anything like that just yet. And I hope that doesn't happen. Basically, I'm not looking for, you don't have to be the smartest kid in the world. You don't have to go to a Ivy League school, obviously. You don't have to even go to school for that matter. It's somebody that really is motivated to grow themselves. Like somebody that actually wants to, be something, grow in their own personal lives. And if we could help them get there, and we think we can take that on, then that's who we're looking for. Somebody that's motivated, wants to make something of themselves, and also wants to be part of something bigger than themselves also.
Very well said. So what, I'm curious, what are like some, to be successful, you have to have habits, I feel like, for everyday life. And I'm curious, what type of like successful habits do you have, or do you think you have?
Ooh, I'm curious about this one. He's got to work out. There's no doubt in my mind he works out. Every successful person, typically salespeople, they work out. I don't know why. They do.
I totally work out.
Boom.
I totally agree with that. Maybe it's, obviously it's not just me, but yeah, I do think that If you feel good, you'll perform better. And
Absolutely.
working out, at least 5 days a week is something super important to my success, or my want of success in my career as well. So yeah, work out all the time. I like to start my day the right way. I actually, I you guys, your information that you put out is so helpful to me, honestly. So I don't have the plan, right? Like I don't have the answer, but I just try to work on anything I can to improve myself day by day. So in the morning, I'll try to meditate, read a little bit before I touch my phone. Try to stay off social media. Sometimes I do get caught up with that often, and try to spend the first hour of my day really trying to figure out the rest of the day, setting a few goals, and make sure I can knock off 3 tasks each day. Nothing too crazy. Of course, we all have 100 things to do.
That's a great habit, though. That's a great habit.
Yeah, it's really overwhelming if you do look at a list of 100 things. So
Yeah.
I like to pick 3 things out and make sure by the end of that day, by the time I'm back in bed, that those 3 tasks are done, and it's a complete day.
Makes sense. I mean, you definitely need a goal list. Right beside me is a whiteboard of my goals for 2020. Now, Jared, let me ask you this. When I started Leave a Legacy Marketing, it was supposed to be a digital ad agency. And I used about 8 months of time to try and grow this business and, of course, be self-made, right? I found some challenges with that, and I eventually went back into the workforce to get a 9 to 5 because I was able to make 6 figures much easier than scaling a business to make 6 figures. But in that time frame, I was truly developing like a depression or like this loneliness because you have such a large task in which is now known to the public, and it just at times is so dreadful. I mean, do you ever get that feeling? Do you have like, how do you combat that if you do? I'm just curious.
I'm sorry. I just want to make sure I understood the feeling of being overwhelmed.
Overwhelmed, potentially dealing with anxiety and potentially even depression
Like
while you're trying
lonely.
to scale this. Yeah, of course, lonely
Yeah,
while
because,
you're trying to grow and scale.
Yeah, of course. And you bring up a good point. I've been in the city for the past 2 months, most of the time alone, in my apartment. Luckily, I have some natural light here, so able to go outside. But yeah, dude, of course, anxiety, depression, that's real things. They happen to a lot of people, a lot more people than you think. And
Well, more so entrepreneurs, they're more subjected to it by like a third.
for sure. And yeah, I definitely go through phases like that. And honestly, man, at the end of the day, the biggest thing is I'm grateful that I know it could always be worse. You know what I mean? So I use that. Whatever situation I'm in, it could be a terrible situation. There's always somebody going through something worse. So that kind of keeps me grounded and kind of like bounces me back into
It's a great mentality
the
to
real
have right
world.
there.
Even in the worst circumstances, I'm talking about, near death circumstances, things as corny as it sounds, like things can always be worse besides that. Right. So
someone always has it worse.
if you can like really, not take things for granted, if you wake up every morning and, take that breath, get 2 feet out of your bed, then like that's a major
Look,
win.
I know, too many people struggle and they get stressed out with the thought about money, but you can always get money. I mean, your health and your mindset, your mental, way more important to me, at least, than money.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. I'm curious, Jared. So you say you have experienced many of these feelings and tribulations as an entrepreneur. So obviously your passion for what you're doing completely surpasses any of those feelings. Where did this passion come from for this particular business? I mean, was it the money? Was it the fact that you're now going to be able to independently make decisions, employ your own people? Like what really drove you to just keep going through all the tribulations?
Got you. Another great question. I guess so. I'm in construction, I guess you can say, but windows, siding, and roofing, it's not like the sexiest industry you can be in. So you have that right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not obsessed with those things at all, right? I really take a lot of pride in being able to make sure that anybody that wants to work with Victory grows. So I really am into human growth, whether that's, inside of work, making a ton of money, or losing weight, feeling better about themselves, being able to, rent an apartment, buy a house, get a girlfriend or whatever it is. Me and my 3 partners,
Mm-hmm.
we really care about making sure that everybody's growing from the second they walk through the doors of Victory. Whether they stay with us for 2 weeks or 20 years, we just want to make sure that they grow as an individual while they're there. So that's what I'm really into.
Which makes sense, similar to, I guess, me and Frank's mindset. I mean, you want a business as a vehicle to use a platform to, of course, grow and groom other individuals, and
Mm-hmm.
hopefully you make some net revenue in the process.
That's what makes you feel good, like the money. We realized we can really do great work for the customers, and we know that our customers are going to, at the end of the day, when we're done with the job, they're going to smile and love their house more than they did before we started. But the employees, the customers don't come without the employees, right? So you have to have happy employees to make happy customers. So
Which
if
makes
everyone's
perfect sense.
happy, I think that the money is that the thing that will come out of that. So
Now, Jared, I know you, at least in my mind, as just a stellar sales guy, right? And I like to think I'm also an elite sales guy. I'm sure Frank agrees with him and himself as well. What sales advice would you have, particularly pertaining to door to door or just in sales in general?
you guys ask great questions. Get your feet wet. Get into any sales you can, all different types of sales. Obviously, get into things that interest you. If you love cars, sell cars. But also get into things that you might not like, just to see what it's about. And you never know really what you're gonna eventually fall in love with, or a lot of people are caught up just doing things that they think they like. They don't really let themselves spread out too much.
So it's funny because I do think it's extremely important to value what you sell. But for me, at least, selling became the thing where I can sell pure shit and have fun with it.
Right. You like the game of selling, which is awesome.
Yeah.
I
That's the best part of sales. Absolutely.
The psychology that you learn, it's crazy.
Yeah. So I would also, like I said before, rejection. Make sure you're asking if you want rejection. Without failure, you're not going to figure out really what growth is at all.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if you really don't know, if you don't think you're going to fail, you're in for something. You know what I mean?
A
So,
rude awakening.
like,
Yeah.
so
I,
take that failure and run with it, honestly, and then you'll learn a lot from it looking back.
I mean, me and Frank, we know that as well. Again, we've been failing, trying. I've been failing all for years now with the podcast, with my brand. It's a part of the game. And with rejection, it's funny because I remember the first job I had where I met Jared. I had my interview, and at the time, the interviewer asked me, "Are you okay with rejection?" I got hired on spot once I told him that when I go to the club, I get rejected left and right, and I keep on trying, man.
It's all a numbers game.
I mean,
You got that right. I think I remember that actually.
yeah, he loved that answer, and I was good money after that. Makes sense.
That's awesome. Yeah, be vulnerable, man. That's also something I want to say is being vulnerable will help you grow as well.
Great message.
Yeah, that really is.
Don't really care what people think about you is important, but also in sales you're going to get a lot of rejection and a lot of people get upset and angry. Always leave whoever you're speaking to on a good note. There's always going to be that next phone call that you could dial or that next door that you can knock on.
And then they can come back.
Yeah, man. And listen, if you bring up a negative attitude to that next phone call or that next door, it's just not going to bring good vibes for that that homeowner or whoever you're speaking with. So, just make sure you smile. You make people smile whether you're on the phones, whether you're in person, whether they say yes or no to you, it doesn't matter.
I definitely agree with you. Vulnerability, for the most part, sells. Being in social media and constantly being on it, I think if you were to cry in front of camera, that sells way more than you fronted.
Yeah, that's like authenticity.
Straight up.
People want that emotion, for sure.
So, Jared, me and Frank G, we're going to ask you one question each, and then we're going to wrap it up, my friend.
Cool, man. Thanks for having me.
Frank G, what you got?
Well, I think this question is a little bit different because you started out as you're a business owner now. So Chris had asked you a piece of advice for someone in sales. Now it's much different opening a business, starting a business. Make it easy, make it quick, whatever you want. If you had one piece of advice for someone who's just starting out on their own first business, what would it be?
That is a loaded question. For anybody opening up their own business. Okay, I would say go all in, don't look back, and put everything you got into it. Spend 15 hours a day working on the business. Make sure that what you want out of it, you need to put that in. So just go all in, continuously try to learn about the industry, whatever industry you're in. When you're not actually at that workplace, continue to try to learn, connect with new people. And if you put the work in, I'm telling you, you're going to not feel good for months, maybe years, but you will hit. I'm telling you, you'll hit.
It's a matter of time. I feel the same way.
In due time.
And if you
in due time.
And listen, if you don't hit in the time that you think that you want to,
yeah,
you still put all that effort in, right? You have nothing that you could regret.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't want to look back.
Well, I always said, it's not about a destination in your head where you want to be. It's all about the journey. It's all about what you pick up, what you learn. And so from your answer, it's pretty clear that you have to have some form of passion for your business because you're going to be working 20 hours a day.
You got it. You 100% have to.
Okay.
Now, Jared, I got one last question for you. This has nothing to do with your business, more or less your entrepreneur mindset. If I give you $10,000 right now, what are you doing with it to invest and maximize the ROI?
I mean, today, what's today? May 14th. JP Morgan's pretty low priced right now. So
oh, he's putting it in stocks and he's going to Chase.
I'm messing with you, but
damn, I hyped that up.
No, I'm not. I'm kind of half kidding, but I'd invested, of course. Something.
But where? That is the question. You going to the stock market?
Yeah, I do think the stock market is an awesome place to be. I think right now there's just a lot of opportunity in the world. When things are down, there's a lot of opportunity. So I would invest in the stock market of some sort.
I mean, that would essentially be my answer, especially when it's at a low. Although it came back up pretty quick.
But that's me. I mean, yeah, that's true. It did pop back up. But in terms of, anybody else, I mean, if they have a business that they're trying to start, throw it into a business.
It's the perfect time.
There you go.
Perfect time.
It's not going to be a better time.
Jared, do you have anything left that you need to tell or inform, or any shout outs, anything you want to say?
Anything I want to say? I do want to thank both of you guys for having me on here. I appreciate that, Chris. It's been a while. And I hope that we all get back to normalcy as soon as possible and everyone's healthy and happy. Thank you guys so much.
Of course, we thank you. We thank you. Frank G, you have a sign out message, brother?
I just want to thank you, Jared, for really coming on here and expressing, your experiences, especially going through what we're going through now. Guys, thank you for joining in. We'll see you guys on Monday.
We out.
Later.